Welcome to the BEASTwriter podcast. I am your host, Ryan Sakamoto, and today we're going to be discussing San Francisco 49ers first round pick, Javon Kinlaw. Now, it comes with a mixed bag, and why I'm bringing up Javon Kinlaw is because everyone was calling or trying to call me out when I said he was a proverbial boomer bust prospect, even before the 49ers drafted him. I just didn't see any defensive tackle worthy of a first round grade, not just Javon Kinlaw, but any defensive tackle for that matter, and that's because it was a lack of a pass rush. I didn't see any pass rush from the defensive tackle, three technique defensive end, defensive tackle, or any defensive ends for that matter. So we're seeing it today. Turns out I was right. So check the Twitter receipts. I called it out, and now I'm pointing it out because it's my job to project and predict. That's what I do, and that's how I gain credibility. All right. So it's not, oh, whatever, okay, cool, whatever. No, but that's how you gain credibility. Otherwise, what's the point of following me? People who follow me know this is how I do business, and as it turns out, I was right. All right. So let's talk about Javon Kinlaw. All right. What is going on with Javon Kinlaw in terms of his play? People can call out injuries, but let me tell you something. Injuries happen in the NFL. In fact, as you guys know, if you don't know, I cover all 32 NFL teams, not just the San Francisco 49ers, not just the Pittsburgh Steelers. So when I look at all 32 NFL teams, I'm talking about all 32 NFL teams. And I'm not just watching broadcast games that you see on TV. I'm actually watching the coach's film. So I get the coach's film, and then I break down and do my game grades accordingly to that. All right? So let's talk about Javon Kinlaw. Getting back to Javon Kinlaw, there was a lack of top-end depth at defensive tackle coming out of the 2020 NFL Draft that I just pointed out. I said on Two Bums in the Pod with Grant Cohn, my gut feeling was the 49ers would reach for Javon Kinlaw, easing the blow of losing DeForest Buckner. I think we are seeing that today. And it's something that I predicted, and it came true. And the reason why I had a gut feeling about it is because they did absolutely nothing in free agency to adjust the position. Anytime you lose an all-pro defensive tackle, you need to replace that position. And ultimately, they were banking on Kinlaw being that guy. A cheaper, alternative guy with the height, weight, speed that they thought would translate, because you have to project, right? As an NFL scale, you have to project if it's going to translate to the NFL level. And it's not. It's not. At least not so far. All right? So on February 25th, this is my pre-draft analysis. Check the Twitter receipt. If you don't follow me on Twitter, that's why I'm posting it now. I said my analysis on Javon Kinlaw. He may have had a strong Senior Bowl, but I need to see more. Bring this down here. I need to see more of him. Let me start over. He may have had a strong Senior Bowl, but I need to see more on film. He showed flashes of being a disruptive pass rusher up front, but consistency is key in the NFL, which is true. Needs to play with a lower base for leveraging. Proverbial boom or bust prospect. If 49ers reach for need and draft defensive tackle Javon Kinlaw to ease the blow of losing DeForest Buckner, they diminish the value of the pick. This was back on February 25th, so months ahead of the draft. That's what I thought. I think it's fair to say he's nowhere near Buckner's level, even for a rookie. You look at DeForest Buckner's level of play as a rookie, and he was balling out of control. And people can talk about the Javon Kinlaw, lack of supporting cast around him. Well, DeForest Buckner didn't even have a supporting cast back in 2016. So let's keep it real. Let's compare apples to apples here. All right? DeForest Buckner also played in a 3-4 defense. So it's a two-gap scheme where he has to read and react, not just react. Kinlaw's position is to react and take on double teams. He's just solely supposed to hit that gap in front of him, taking on the guard in the center, or the guard in the tackle, and hold the point of attack. That's his job. Eat up as many blockers as you can while still creating pressure up front. Buckner was doing it even for a rookie. Kinlaw is not. All right? Supporting cast. What kind of supporting cast did Buckner have in 2016? Well, let's take a look at it. Name it. Let's see if you guys can name the starting 49ers defensive line on that 2016 Chip Kelly team. Go ahead, I'll wait. Do 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 do. So you guys can't do it. I'll name it for you. I did the work, so I'm going to name them for you. All right. Mike Purcell and Quentin Dial. That's who Buckner was working with. Quentin Dial and Mike Purcell. Where are those guys right now? Alright. Anywho, let's talk about Javon Kinlaw's play, even for a rookie. He has 14 missed assignments versus the run, second worst on the team. 3 pre-snap penalties, which is going back to lack of fundamentals, because how can you go off sides or get neutral zone infractions when you're supposed to be looking at the ball before the ball is snapped to make any kind of movement whatsoever? That's fundamentals 101. Okay, he leads the team in that. He has 5 quarterback pressures, 3 pass breakups, which is good to him, to his credit, and an overall grade of 3.27. For those who don't know how my grading system works, it's a scale of 10, with 5 being average, 6 being above average, 6.5 to 7 is probably at a Pro Bowl level. Anything above a 7.3 is at an all-pro, balling out of control, lights out, you're the man, cream of the crop. Alright, he's graded at a 3.7, so he's not even average, because 5 is average. He's not even below average, because that would be 4. So he's really, really on the other side of the spectrum in terms of being average, even for a rookie. All right, and then people can say, "Oh, well, it's only his first year, and he's a rookie." Okay, well, since I cover all 32 NFL teams, I did the legwork for you, and then I took all the defensive tackles drafted after him and see how they're doing. I got you covered, guys. All right, let's go. So let's compare the 2 other defensive tackles drafted behind him. Let's start off with nose tackle Rayquan Davis. Yes, nose tackle. He was listed as a defensive end coming in from Alabama, and the reason for that was because, well, he was playing the 3-tech defensive end position, and as you guys know, I'm a huge Alabama fan. His natural position is more of a nose tackle anyways, but my analysis on Rayquan Davis, my pre-draft analysis, was this, back in February. Baltimore added both Calais Campbell and Derek Wolfe, but they needed a nose tackle after losing Michael Pierce. That's where Ravens go BPA while filling a need. Davis is a steal at 55. The rich get richer. Well, obviously he didn't get drafted by the Baltimore Ravens. Instead, he went 1 pick later to the Miami Dolphins at 56. Pretty damn close, right? Not bad. Alright, check the Twitter receipt. Anyways, getting back to Rayquan Davis, let's talk about his game. Well, he's strong at the point of the attack. He resets the line of scrimmage. All these things that I see from him at Alabama, it translates at the NFL level. He can 2-gap with ease, and he allows the linebackers to instinctively read their keys and flow down the line naturally. What I mean by that is he does a really good job of setting up his linebackers, giving them keys on what he's going to do, so then the linebackers can then make their keys and what they're going to do on the second level in terms of gap assignments. All right? And it wasn't until, I believe it was week 5, or no, excuse me, I think it was week 6. Week 5 was when nose tackle Devon Gottschall got a torn biceps injury, and he was out for the rest of the year. So who's going to take on that role as a nose tackle? Well, you roll in Rayquan Davis because that was his natural position at Alabama. So what Brian Flores did, said, you know what, let's give this kid a shot. He's playing well up to this point as a depth piece player anyways. Let's give him a shot and see what the second round pick can do. Well, he's balling out of control, and the Dolphins are now on the rise, as we all know, and it's backed up by a good defense. And what makes a good 3-4 defense? Well, the heart of the defense starts up front with that nose tackle, because he's the one taking on multiple blockers, sometimes 3 blockers at a time, and allows other players to make plays. All right, and that's what Rayquan Davis is doing. So he didn't get his first start until the New York Jets game, and since then he's been balling out of control. All right, so let's take a look at his stats as I grade all 32 NFL teams and players. He has, compared to Javon Kinlaw had 14 missed assignments in the run. Well, Rayquan Davis only has 7, and he's chewing up more of the double teams and triple teams. 2 quarterback pressures, 1 mob stat. Mob stat is a stat that I created called making others better. So based on the person's assignment, if he makes other players better based on shooting the gap, fleshing the plays back inside or outside, back into where his help is, allowing the other player to have a tackle for loss or what's called a stuff, that's a grade for that player because he's the one that made that play happen. Make sense? To put it in layman terms for all you 49ers fans, Justin Smith had a lot of mob stats. He was the mob player of the year. All right? You guys get the picture. So what's his final grade? Well, again, on a scale of 10, 5 being average, 6 above average, Rayquan Davis was graded at 5.37. 5.37. So almost at an above average player. You take that and compare that to Javon Kinlaw's 3.27, and you can see where the discrepancy lies. So is Javon Kinlaw really having a good year even for a rookie? No, he's not. But don't take my word for it. Let's go down the line again. Let's double down on that. Justin Matabuki from the Baltimore Ravens. My pre-draft analysis on him. The 49ers have a clear need for a 3-tech defensive tackle after trading away all-pro defensive tackle DeForest Buckner, and Matabuki fits the bill due to his combination of leverage, strength, and short area quickness. One of my favorites. All right. Fast forward to today. Let's see what happens. Well, Baltimore always goes BPA, and they selected him in the 3rd round, right? But what's up with Justin Matabuki through week 9? Well, let's talk about that. All right. Well, he didn't get his start until week 5 because he was dealing with a leg injury that he suffered in camp. And in week 5 for the Cincinnati Bengals, we saw flashes of what he can do. He's a strong edge setter. He anchors the point of attack, has a non-stop motor, and makes plays sideline to sideline. If you don't follow me on Twitter, go ahead and just look at my videos. I actually posted Justin Matabuki clips, and people were wondering, why would you post random clips of this Ravens defensive lineman? Well, now you know. All right. And the reason why the Ravens drafted him was because, one, that's what Eric DeCosta does. He's a top 3 GM all day, every day. All day, every day. Sorry, I can't speak this morning. But yeah, that's what he does. He goes BPA and he drafts the best player available regardless of position. Now, they got Derek Wolfe and they also brought in Calais Campbell. But as we know, Calais Campbell went down to a calf injury. Who's going to roll in and step up? Well, they got depth. Injuries happen in the NFL. It's the next guy up. The standard is a standard, as Mike Tomlin always says. And when the standard is a standard, you got to have little to no drop-off in production. No excuses. That's the NFL. And Justin Matabuki is getting it done. All right? So kudos to GM Eric DeCosta for pulling the trigger on Justin Matabuki, finding value late in the 3rd round. All right? But let's take a look at his stat line. What he's doing compared to Javon Kinlaw and Rayquan Davis. He has 7 missed assignments versus the run, exactly the same amount as Rayquan Davis. 1 quarterback pressure, 1 quarterback hit, 1 mob stat, and food for thought. Again, he missed 4 games earlier in the year because of leg injury. So he's playing behind the 8 ball and still getting more pressures and sacks and hurries or hits or whatever you want to call it, whatever that number is, that algorithm, that formula that you come up with. He's getting more pressure and generating more pressure than Javon Kinlaw has in 9 games. And who was supposed to be the better prospect? And here's some food for thought. If I'm not mistaken, the Baltimore Ravens, Dolphins, and 49ers play similar teams this year. So if you look back and look at their schedules, they're actually playing similar teams, which is quite odd. Usually when I do a comparison or a podcast like this, usually they're playing different teams. So one can't really say, oh, he's playing a better offensive line or a weaker defensive line or whatever the case may be. They're actually playing against similar opponents when you actually think about it. All right? What's his grade? Well, his grade's a 4.5. 5 being average, 4.5. So he's right there on being average. Javon Kinlaw, 3.7. Rayquan Davis, 5.37. So you guys can see what's going on here, right? So is Javon Kinlaw really getting it done? We all know he's not a plug and play for DeForest Buckner. I think everyone can agree with that. But is he really getting it done even for a rookie? No. As of right now, no, he's not. In fact, he's not even getting it done as a second level player. Or a second level string player. Second string player. He's not getting it done, in my opinion. But this is not all on Kinlaw. I do see flashes of Pro Bowl potential. This is not a knock on Kinlaw at all. This is me formulating my analytics with my grading system on his play up to this point. And what we're seeing from Kinlaw is people have seen flashes, including myself, of that Pro Bowl potential. Yes, does he need Nick Bosa there? Absolutely. I mean, Nick Bosa would make me look like an all-star. Now, I never played an NFL down. Or a college down, for that matter. He's that type of player. But when you take it into account and look at these other players, like Justin Matabuki, who plays with the second string, he's not playing with Calais Campbell. He's not playing with Derek Wolfe. He's substituting for those guys. And he's still making an impact. You have to put it apples to apples comparison. Same thing with Rayquan Davis. He wasn't even starting. He didn't get the starting job until Devon Gottschall went down to injury, and he had to slide into nose tackle, taking on multiple triple teams. So when you put it all together, how good is Javon Kinlaw? They reached for need. They should have drafted CeeDee Lamb or Tristan Wirfs, one of those guys, as I stated earlier in my pre-draft analysis. Instead, John Lynch pulled the trigger on Javon Kinlaw because it gave something in the media to write about. Oh, you know what? Damn, we know we're going to get heat for losing DeForest Buckner, but if we just hope and pray that Javon Kinlaw is the answer, all is forgotten. At least in the interim, we can kind of distract the media from, losing DeForest Buckner with Javon Kinlaw. Let's hype him up, height, weight, speed. Yes, he has all the intangibles to be an all-pro, Pro Bowl potential player, but at the end of the day, it's all about potential. Potential doesn't equal results. Results equal results. And again, this time next year, I'm just going to call it. This time next year, again, it's not a knock on Javon Kinlaw, but I think Javon Kinlaw is going to have one hell of a year after saying all of this. How's that for a 180? Yes, I think Javon Kinlaw is going to have one hell of a year. I think he's going to have a year in which he benefits from Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa is kind of the leader of the defensive line with Buckner not there anymore. It's not Armstead. If it was, I think we'd see a little bit more production from him, but we're not. Javon Kinlaw needs to lean on the leaders of this team, the true team captains of this team, and that comes down to Nick Bosa, Fred Warner. If he's back next year, we don't even know who's going to be back next year because of his contract situation, which I pointed out in the description in this podcast. And so there's a lot of unknowns, but Javon Kinlaw to me is going to have at least 5, 6, maybe even 8 sacks next year. 5, 6, or 8 sacks next year. That's my prediction. 5 to 8 sacks, at least 5. At least 5 sacks next year. And for Javon Kinlaw, he'll probably end up with maybe, I don't know, at this rate, it's not looking good. But if he ends up with 1 or 2 sacks, then people are going to be riding him. Let's give the kid a shot. I mean, I was hard on him for a reason. Yeah, my analysis was on point, and we're seeing it now, but it's not fair to judge Javon Kinlaw off his rookie year. He was just placed in an unfair situation by the San Francisco 49ers to be asked to take on an all-pro level player responsibilities and not getting it done. It's demoralizing for you if you're a rookie and a first-round pick because you're still adapting to the NFL game. You're still learning the nuances of how to play your techniques and so forth. But then again, that's why I point out these rookies, because these other rookies are picking it up or have come in more polished than Javon Kinlaw, because Javon Kinlaw came in raw. And we're seeing how much work needs to be done in terms of his game. It all starts with pad level. We've seen it with Eric Armstead. We've seen it early with DeForest Buckner. Pad level is key down in the trenches. If you don't play with the lower pad level, the lower man always wins. That's just football 101. All right? Again, this is not a knock on Javon Kinlaw, but just assessing and analyzing his play compared to other rookies in this draft class. And right now, he's not looking so hot. But that can all change next year when Bosa and some of these other guys come back. Time will tell. All right, well, that'll be it for me. I hope you had what I like to say. If you did, please hit the subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. Also, I have a thumbs up in the corner of the screen. Go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and you can subscribe there. All right, thank you for tuning into my channel. I hope you had a lot of fun. Take care. BEASTwriter out.